Welcome, class. Gather around, grab your notebooks, grab your pencils. We're going to take some notes. And I know that after such a long break, it is often hard to sit still, pay attention, and take notes. But guys, we've got UFC Vegas 80 to break down. We're going to cover all of the fights on this card. I do believe there are 12 of them. We're going to cover every single one. We're going to break them all down. But I need your participation. And if you are excited to be back after a week off, go ahead and like the video to show me that and give me a hell yeah, brother, down in the comments. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys down there. Let's get it going. First, though, real quick, you can find me on, X at 138 MMA. You can find me on Tapology at 138 MMA. You can also find me at patreon.com/138MMA, where you can get access to all my notes, my top 5 bets for the week. This week, actually, is top 7 because we got Bellator 300 as well as UFC Vegas 80, and I got a little carried away with that week off, which is a bad idea. I'm kind of worried about it because I got a little excited after the time off, but I think it's going to be fine. Place them well. They're good bets, but that's what we had. So anyway, you get that. You get my picks with confidence. You get the Patreon parlay, which is always fun. How that works is you got your base legs. That's going to get you to round even money. You play that one, and you use your winnings to have the extra leg. And then you use your winnings from that just a little bit after scraping some back out, and you use that for the DGen leg, and that's going to be your big parlay. Now, we've got that over there. All the notes, like I said, everything you could ever ask for. It's on patreon.com/138MMA. And the last thing I'm going to mention is Grey Dog Software. Click the link in the description. You can get access to my specific page that's going to show you all their games. World of Mixed Martial Arts 5 is the one I recommend. Play as Dana White, basically, but your own version. You play as you. Take it over promotion to go up against the big bad UFC if you're one of them guys. Or you can play as UFC and squash all the regional folks. This is a long intro. We haven't been around in a while, and I've got some stuff that I wanted to get out. So that's what you got. Click all those links. Use them all, and I'll see you guys in the first.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, 138 proudly brings to you the hottest race in the world.
Women's flyweight action coming at you with Montana De La Rosa taking on JJ Aldrich. In the last 5 fights, Aldrich is 3-2, 1-3-1 for De La Rosa. Interesting matchup, though, because the last 5 don't tell the whole story. 1-3-1 is horrible. 3-2 is respectable, not bad. Yeah, 1-3-1 is bad, but the level of competition is different. The wins for JJ Aldrich are not over the level of competition that someone like De La Rosa has been fighting. We know that she also took her last fight on short notice. It's what happens. Either way, it's still not a good look to be 1-3-1 coming into a fight. Let's break this fight down, though. So let's figure out why things are the way they are, why the odds have flipped in this matchup, and I'll cover that in a minute as well. But for JJ Aldrich, decent striking. She's going to work her jab, and she does that very well, just sticking that jab out there, jabbing to the body, jabbing to the head, whatever she's got to do. She's getting pretty good volume most of the time. I say usually because there have been a few fights where it's just not coming out, but she does usually have pretty good volume, but the power's not there. She's got to get through with volume. Wrestling, she's decent there as well. She has pretty good takedown defense most of the time, and she can mix in her own takedowns if that is what she needs to beat the opponent. This matchup, that's not a thing that she's going to want to do because she's fighting Montana De La Rosa, who's a legitimately good wrestler. She's got solid takedowns, and when she gets on top of you, the control is there. The problem for De La Rosa, she doesn't have any striking defense. It's bad. Her striking offense, it's okay. She's got a decent 1-2, and that's about it. But yeah, the striking defense is bad. That 1-2 comes out. If it lands, it's not too bad. It's nice and straight, but it does come right down. The hands do. That leaves her wide open for counters, whatever. Striking, you got to give it to Aldrich. Wrestling, you got to give it to De La Rosa. If you guys have been around the channel a while, you know that I do favor wrestlers. Wrestling is the best base for MMA. And I think in this matchup, we're going to see that because I think Montana De La Rosa is going to get the takedowns. She's going to get on top of JJ Aldrich, and she's going to grind out a decision win because Aldrich is pretty tough. So I'm going to take Montana De La Rosa here. I took it originally when she was an underdog, but now she is the favorite. So now I'm stuck with an issue here. Do I take the free money, which I usually do because it's free? I bet Montana De La Rosa like plus 185 or something like that. I think it was. You check the Patreon for proof or for whatever reference. That's the word I'm looking for reference to find that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but either way, JJ Aldrich is now plus like what 110 or something like that. That's called free money if you bet the exact same amount on the other person. But I think Montana's going to win it. So I'm kind of in a pickle. I'm gonna wait it out a little bit and see how the odds do. Maybe we get JJ is a bigger underdog, and if so, then I'll have to take the free money. So, De La Rosa the pick. Let me know who you have. Let's go ahead and drop that down in the comments below, and I will see you. Men's flyweight matchup next. We've got Mateusz Mendonca. He's taking on Nate Maness. Maness is 3-2 in the last 5, 4-1 for Mendonca. This should be a fun fight because both guys typically bantamweights. Maness had one fight at flyweight in his last one. Mendonca, first time down at flyweight. For Mendonca, he's a good striker, tons of power, and he's got kicks to all levels. And when he lands with the hands or the feet, those kicks are very powerful. Those punches, very powerful. Throws in combination, does a good job, and he's able to either initiate and go forward and just start throwing what he needs to throw, or he has the ability to sit back and counter and do a good job there. Now, the problem is sometimes when he does get sucked into a brawl, he does get quite a bit wild, and it does leave him wide open to be countered. However, it hasn't really cost him a ton in his career. As you see, only one loss on the career, and that was a decision loss to Basharat. Either way, gets a bit wild in a brawl, and it's not something you really want to do against Nate Maness, something to keep in mind. His grappling, very good at grappling. He does have solid takedowns, and when he does get his takedowns, they typically come at the end of strikes, which is important. He's also a big slammer. He likes to pick guys up, drop them down on the ground very hard, and attack the submission. He's got 4, I think, submission wins out of his 10. Could be wrong about that. Don't quote me. But does do a good job of attacking the submissions. But because he does push such a pace early on, sometimes he does fade just a bit as the fight goes on. On the other side, Maness, good striker as well. He's got good boxing combinations. Now, sometimes he'll throw a kick in at the end of the combo, but typically it's the boxing combos that are going to get it done for him with his striking. Now, he's got good counters as well, and I think that's probably his best thing in this matchup because, like I said, when Mendonca does start to get a little bit aggressive and sometimes end up in a brawl, he is open to be countered. So the counters there are going to be important for Maness, and Maness is going to establish his jab, and he does a good job at throwing a nice clean one. When it comes to the wrestling, he doesn't use it offensively as much as he used to. On the regional scene, he did have very good takedowns. In the UFC, I think he's shot like a handful, maybe 4, I don't know, something like that. Not a lot. But he does get them when he shoots takedowns, and he does a good job with it. He's got very good ground and pound as well. He picks his shots well, looks for the opening, does a good job there. And he's got decent takedown defense. I know he was taken down recently, but he in his last matchup, but he does still have pretty good takedown defense overall. In the UFC, regional scene, all that stuff, has pretty good balance, usually fights guys off with that. But in this matchup here, I like the under more than I like a side because I don't really know for sure what Mendonca is going to look like at 125 pounds yet. We just don't know, right? And I do think that the way that these guys fight, somebody's probably getting finished. So I do like the under better than I like picking a side, but I am going to pick a side because that's what I do on this channel. So I'm going to take Mateusz Mendonca to get this one done. I'm a big fan of his. Watched him come in, through the Contender Series, do a good job. That video is on my channel if you want to watch that. It's old stuff. I might sound like a doofus, but it's there. But I think he's just going to be a little bit too much with the big power shots. If he does get it to the mat, I think he's going to be aggressive on the submissions, and I do think he's going to get it done. So that's where I'm at. Not confident enough to place a moneyline bet on him. In fact, at the odds, I wouldn't do that, but the under 2.5 sounds nice. Let me know where you're at. Let's drop that down in the comment below, and I'll see you in the next. And now we are in the women's strawweight division. We have Kanako Murata. She's taking on Vanessa Demopoulos. Demopoulos is 3-2 in her last 5 fights, 4-1 for Murata. That one loss in the last 5 is actually off of an injury a couple of years ago, which led to a long layoff. She hurt her arm in a matchup against Virna Jandiroba. Happens. Sucks when you lose due to an injury, but it happened, and that's what happened, and now she's back after 2 years. Demopoulos, she's been fighting pretty actively, actually, since she's been in the UFC. She's a decent striker. She's going to come forward with forward pressure, volume, and 0 defense. But with that, she does have strong durability. You can't really get this girl out of there. When she loses, it's by decision. In fact, I think all 5 of her fights that she has lost are by decision because she's very tough. Tough as they come. But she's going to come forward with that volume and just sling shots at you. And she hits pretty hard, too. It's not like she has pillows for hands. She hits pretty hard. When it comes to the grappling, though, this is where she's good because she has good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, particularly active off of her back, looking for that arm bar. If she gets I don't know why I said it that way, but the arm bar, when she gets gets a hold of your arms and makes you have to start pulling up like that, that's when she could create space and get up. But I don't think she will. And that's the problem that you have when you're picking Vanessa Demopoulos in matchups is because she's willing to work from her back using her jiu-jitsu. And that's hard to do and hard to win fights in MMA. But she does a good job when she is there when she's on, well, at least forward looking for the submissions, when she's on top, she has good control, but she doesn't have the takedown ability to get the fight to the mat and then get on top often. She does not land very many takedowns. If she does, she's good at staying there, but she doesn't land very many takedowns. For Demopoulos, she really, like, in a perfect world for her to win this fight, she needs to get Murata backing up because she's landing a ton of volume, just slinging shots, eating some, slinging shots as well. And then Murata just kind of drops due to the volume, and she can get on top and start working her jiu-jitsu from there. That's what Demopoulos needs in this matchup, and that's why so many people are on the Murata side, because Murata is a very strong wrestler. She's probably going to be able to get takedowns because she is very good at doing that. And when she does, she's got pretty good control, and she's going to start looking for the choke. Usually the arm triangle, maybe she'll look to take the back or whatever, but she's looking to choke with those like wrestling style chokes, okay? She's not looking for anything too crazy. She's looking for chokes that you can do from that wrestling background that were just an easy transition, okay? That's what she's looking for, and she does a good job with it. Now, something else to keep in mind, she has decent striking, but her striking defense is also pretty poor. In fact, I don't know whose is worse. Probably Demopoulos, just because she gets hit a lot, but Murata does not have very good striking defense, but her threat of the wrestling, is what helps set up that striking. And if you know you've got to defend the takedown, she has the ability to come over the top with those shots and land. And she hits pretty hard as well. So there is that. When it comes to the injury layoff, you assume she's better. You assume she's fine. She's fine. The arm's no big deal. But here's the deal. Here's the big problem. Here's the conundrum. Here's one of the things I'm struggling with. I want to pick Vanessa Demopoulos because, well, first off, my buddy Zeke was actually her jiu-jitsu coach back in the day. So I want to pick her for that reason. But two, I think she's a fun fighter, and I think that she probably has the more exciting win if she does win. But I think what we're going to see is she gets taken down. Murata just holds that position, defends the submissions, and stays on top for most of 3 rounds, and probably wins a boring decision that way because Vanessa Demopoulos does not stop the takedown enough, and she's too willing to work from her back, even sometimes jumping guard. I've got to pick Murata as much as I don't want to. In fact, I might even bet Demopoulos if this line keeps getting crazy because I do want her to win, and I do think that she does have a path to victory here, especially someone coming off of an injury to her arm. If somebody starts grabbing for that arm, she might be a little bit worried, might tap a little quicker if that arm gets locked up at all. I don't know, but I'm reaching. I'm grasping at straws here, guys. The pick has to be Murata, and I just don't want to do it. But I'm taking her for now, and I'm going to look like a putz if Demopoulos wins. Let me know who you have. I'll see you next. We find ourselves in the bantamweight division. We have Johnny Munoz Jr. He's taking on Aoriqileng. For Aoriqileng, he's 2-3 in his last 5, just like Johnny Munoz Jr. Both guys 2-3. This is going to be an interesting one because Johnny Munoz Jr. was a very popular pick in his last fight, but he didn't deliver by any stretch of the imagination. And yet again, I'm seeing him as a very popular pick. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to break down why I think he's a popular pick because he has a lot of upside. But some of the things that he did in his last matchup give me a little pause. So I'm going to break this one down. We got Aoriqileng, I think it is Aoriqileng. He is a good striker, good volume. He's going to come forward with that volume, and he's got pretty good power. But the problem is he doesn't really defend strikes. He's kind of just coming forward with his own attacks, and he gets hit a lot. He does have decent wrestling, and he's good at mixing in his takedowns. And that sets up the striking because he doesn't really hold guys down super well, which I don't think he's having trouble holding down Munoz Jr. because Munoz is going to want to stay down and work his jiu-jitsu. That's what he does. So this is a big question mark for me right here on this one. Big question mark on the wrestling, whether he uses it, if he does use it, to what success does he have, whatever. But it's there. I'm pointing it out. The striking, I think, is his best path to victory here because he's going against Johnny Munoz Jr., who's, I'm going to say he's a decent striker because it's clean. It's just there's not really any threat to it. He's got clean straights, good front kick, good side kick, and he uses those at range really well. But he doesn't put a lot of power on them. Doesn't really threaten with them very well, and he uses them from all the way out. If you start pressuring this guy, he's not going to be trying to strike you. Johnny Munoz is going to try to get the fight to the mat, rightfully so. That's what he should be doing. That's what he's best. But the striking is just from all the way out when he can't cross that distance. His wrestling is just, it's decent. I used to think it was good, learned otherwise. It's decent. He does have some good body locks, trips, things like that. Has a nice single leg here and there, but there's not the level that you need at this level in the UFC. So The jiu-jitsu, though, it's very good. He's very slick on the mat, good transitions. To get fights to the mat, catching kicks is actually something he's very good at, and he does a good job there, whether he transitions it into a single leg or just catches the kick and dumps somebody. Does a good job there. When he's on the mat on top, he's going to mix in the ground and pound to set up his submission attempts. He's very good at snatching up arms, particularly. Off his back, he's very active. Looking for arms again most of the time, but he'll take up whatever you get him. So for Johnny Munoz, he needs this fight on the mat to win because I don't think he's going to win a striking matchup against Aoriqileng. Aoriqileng is going to hit harder, have more volume and more power just coming forward. So for me, I'm going to side with Aoriqileng because I think he's going to be able to get this one done. But I totally understand why people are taking Munoz. But after his last fight, I think a guy like Aoriqileng is actually the perfect style to get this one done. So I'm going the Aoriqileng side. Not as confident as I would like to be, but that's where I'm at. Let me know who you have. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. For these ladies, we are in strawweight. So we have Diana Belbita taking on Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Both of these ladies are actually at 15-7 in their career, so that's kind of an interesting little note. In the last 5, Belbita is 2-3 in the last 5. Not something you like to see. 3-2 on the Kowalkiewicz side, so a little bit better. When we break down the skills and the physical attributes, it's a little bit different. So when we look at Belbita, she's 27 years old as opposed to the 37 for Kowalkiewicz. She's also 5'7" with a 68-inch reach, which makes her quite a bit taller and rangier than Kowalkiewicz at 5'3" with a 64-inch reach. Now let's get into the skills. For Belbita, she's a good striker that's basically just going to come forward and throw a ton of volume, and she doesn't have the best striking defense. So that is a problem for her. Not a lot of defense, but a ton of output. Best defense can be a really good offense. So that's what she's going to go for, right? On the ground, it's similar. She's very active from her back. She's got decent Brazilian jiu-jitsu off of that back. But the problem is she'd be held down, and sometimes her submission defense isn't the best. So Belbita is very much offense, not a ton of defense. When we look at Kowalkiewicz, she's recently added into her game a little bit more wrestling, and she's done a good job about kind of getting the takedowns when she needs them. If this fight goes to the mat, I do think Kowalkiewicz is the one to do that. She also has pretty good takedown defense, which also makes me say, well, she probably isn't going to be the one getting taken down. When it comes to the striking, I think she's the better striker skill for skill. She's got decent power. She's puts together pretty good combinations, but the volume is there as well. She's also a very good volume striker. Maybe not quite as high a volume as Belbita, but still very good volume. And I know a lot of people are on Kowalkiewicz. I understand it. She's better skill for skill. I understand that. But here's the thing. We have to take into account the styles of this fight, which makes it very close, and the physical attributes. 10 years younger, quite a bit taller and rangier. What does that mean? Belbita, although poor striking defense, she's able to land her strikes before Kowalkiewicz because she can hit her before she can get hit. She's also taller, so she's punching down here, whereas for Kowalkiewicz, she's going to punch way up because your arms are lower than your head, right? So the taller fighter has the advantage of being closer to the opponent's head than the shorter fighter. I know that sounds stupid, but how many of you didn't think of that before I said that? It's a real issue for the shorter fighter. So for Kowalkiewicz, she's not trying to punch at the other person's shoulder level, which would make it the same distance. No, she's trying to hit her in the head, right? Most of the time. I mean, there's body shots, things like that, but she's trying to punch her in the head. Well, Belbita's head's going to be a lot higher. So she has to punch way up here, which takes away some of that reach that she does have, even though it's shorter, but she takes away some of that reach that she does have to go up like this, so it doesn't let her go as long. Whereas Belbita, arms being lower than head, boom, right there. I know I over-explained that. Deal with it. I'm sorry. This is like the 4th time I've recorded this video. I wasn't happy with the others. I'm not going to be happy with this one, but we're sticking with it anyway. Either way, I think the physical advantages mixed with that super high output of someone like Belbita, that aggressiveness, that pressure, I think she's going to get it done. And I know a lot of people are going to be on the Karolina Kowalkiewicz side. I don't blame you a bit. She is better skill for skill. Like I said, she's a veteran. She's fought the better competition. All of those things. But I think in this particular matchup, Belbita's got the skills to do it. Let me know who you have, though. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. I know you're probably on the Kowalkiewicz side, and that's okay. If I get this one wrong, come back and call me a dummy. It's cool. I'll see you guys in the next fight. Thanks for checking featherweight division. We have Alexander Hernandez taking on Bill Algeo. I emphasize featherweight because this is Alexander Hernandez's 2nd time at featherweight. The first time did not go very well for him. He's 2-3 in his last 5 fights, 3-2 for Algeo. Something I want to note because Although 2-3 in his last 5, Hernandez has had some serious, really big success over some big names. And it's strange because then he doesn't have the best success in other fights against not such good names, or big names, I guess. Inconsistency is very, very much a problem for Alexander Hernandez. We are going to see what side of inconsistent he is in this matchup, but that is something I want to point out. He's a decent striker. He's got good footwork, and he comes forward a lot, and he's got pretty good power. So there's that. Powerful, good footwork, forward pressure, good deal. He's got good wrestling, and I think if he mixes in his wrestling and gets it going early, that's going to be his best bet here, especially if he doesn't have to work too hard to get the takedowns, because he does have pretty good top pressure once he gets the fight to the mat. The problem is, like every Alex Hernandez fight, is cardio. He's going to fall off of a cliff as the fight goes on, but even earlier, most likely at 145 pounds. For Alex Hernandez, he needs to get this fight to the mat easily in the first round, win that first round, and then repeat that same process in round number 2 if he wants to win this fight. But he's going up against Bill Algeo. Now let's go ahead and talk about the grappling of Algeo first. He has decent takedowns in his own right. He's a good scrambler, but his takedown defense is just So if Hernandez is able to get that takedown on him, I could see him being stuck on the mat in the first round. But in the second round, does that activeness, does that scrambling ability make it a little bit harder for Hernandez, and does that cause him to gas out? That we're not going to know, because at least not till fight day, because Algeo, he has great cardio. This dude can keep going all day. He's going to be the one that is going to be fresher later in the fight. But if he gets slept early in the fight, that's not good for Bill Algeo here. So on the feet, the guy's got probably better volume, I'd say. He's got good movement. He can strike at either stance, but he can get sucked into a brawl, and that's a problem against a power striker like Hernandez. But Algeo is pretty durable. Here's the reason I kind of put that the way I did, the breakdown the way I did. Hernandez has the tools to beat someone like Algeo, but Algeo has a whole lot more tools to beat someone like Hernandez. So it's an interesting fight. I feel pretty good in saying that Bill Algeo is probably going to get not a late finish, but later second round finish, maybe third round finish. So it would be a late finish in the third. But I think he gets it done. I think he finishes him, because I think Hernandez is going to have too much trouble keeping the cardio going. I don't think he's getting an early knockout, because like we said, Algeo is durable, and in a brawl he doesn't do poorly. So I think Algeo is just going to be able to outwork him. I think his kind of goofy style that he's switching stances, things like that, is going to make Hernandez work just a little bit more than he wants to work in order to get the takedowns, in order to land the big power shots. And I think that's going to exhaust him, especially at 145 pounds. Give me Bill Algeo. I feel pretty good about it. Let me know who you have, and I'll see you in the light heavyweight division. We have Ion Cutelaba. He's taking on Felipe Lins. Lins is 3-2 in the last 5, 2-3 for Cutelaba. Interesting matchup, because basically it's first round versus the whole fight. Now, for Cutelaba, he's a very fast starter. He is very good in that first round. He's going to come forward with very powerful striking. He's a bit of a glass cannon, but he does have very powerful striking. He's got good takedowns as well, and when he gets on top of you, he's going to start landing that heavy, heavy ground and pound. That's exactly what he needs to do to win a fight, because after that first round, that's it. Cardio's gone, drops off. He's not so good after that first round. Now, on the other hand, Felipe Lins, he's a decent striker, right? He's got good power. He's a heavyweight. He hits hard. He's got good volume, and he's going to press forward. But the problem is he doesn't have the best striking defense. And early in this fight, that is going to be a problem for him. But as the fight goes on, he does have jiu-jitsu. He's got good top pressure, and he does have good takedown defense. If Cutelaba comes out there, just starts shooting a ton of takedowns, and Lins is able to stuff a couple of them, all of a sudden, this fight's really interesting. So here's how we're going to know how this is going to go. In the first 30 seconds, if Cutelaba gets his first takedown, it's going to be a bad, bad round for Felipe Lins. He might get the win, Cutelaba, that is. If he doesn't get that first takedown, maybe he doesn't get that second takedown, all of a sudden, Felipe Lins is a good spot. I think Felipe Lins gets the win in this matchup, because I think he's going to be able to stuff a couple of takedowns, and I think he's going to be able to wear out Cutelaba in that first round, just surviving, doing enough to not get finished. And I think after that, he's going to get the knockout over Cutelaba later in the fight, because the guy's going to be tired, and I think he's going to be hittable, and I think that's what's going to happen. So Felipe Lins, he's a former heavyweight. Like I said, he's got that power for him. He's gonna be able to knock out a guy like Cutelaba, who isn't the most durable, and especially after that cardio phase. So that's where I'm at. I won't be surprised if Cutelaba gets it in the first round. Maybe there's a play there. Maybe you play Cutelaba first round, Lins money line. I don't know. That's where I'm at, though. Let me know who you have. I'll see you guys down below in the comments, and I'll see you in the next fight. We are in the lightweight division, and real quick, hey, I don't know if you haven't done so already. What are you doing? Go ahead and get down there, hit that like button for me. I appreciate it. It does help the channel a lot. I'm giving you plenty of time to do that right now. Go on scrolling down there while I'm chatting with you. Like the video. It's a good time to do it. Like I said, those of you that already have, hey, you guys are the rock stars. If you hadn't, I understand. You probably just forgot. You need to remind it. It's okay. I understand. But let's break down this fight. We are in the lightweight division. Like I said, we have Rick Glenn. He's taking on Drew Dober. Now, in this one here, I am a bit biased. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to try my best to not sound biased, but I'm going to sound a little bit biased. Rick Glenn, he's 2-2-1 in his last 5, 3-2 for Dober. Now, when we look at this one here, Rick Glenn, good striking, got forward pressure, decent power in the hands. He's got quite a few knockouts under his belt, good volume as well. Dude's got good wrestling. He can mix in the takedowns when he needs to, and the cardio is there for him. Now, in his last matchup, I will say he did not look his best. I don't know if that was a one-off performance or if that was something that you know, that we're going to start seeing a little bit more of. Has a lot of miles on the clock. I mean, 22-7-2. Been in there quite a bit. Hasn't been fighting as actively as he used to. Who knows? But could be totally fine. Drew Dober, on the other hand, solid Muay Thai. I know this because I've seen it myself. He was just at my gym the other day. Dude's got good forward pressure, tons of power. He hits like a truck, good volume. Striking defense, we understand, is not the best, but he's typically very durable. Now, I understand he was knocked out in his last matchup against Matt Frivola. Matt Frivola hits very hard, and I think it was an early stoppage, but I was also rooting for Dober. So, who knows? Either way, he did get knocked out in that last matchup. It's not like he was out cold, but he was definitely in a bad spot, so I'll give you that. Either way, in the grappling, he's got so-so takedown defense, but he's very active from the ground, and he starts to work to get right back up as quickly as he can, and his cardio is there. Neither guy's going to gas out, even at a high output, and I think both of these guys are going to try to exchange it on the feet a bit early. So, for me, I think this matchup goes like this. First round starts, Dober's coming forward, southpaw stance, that's what he does, coming forward, Rick Glenn's coming forward. These guys are going to start exchanging. You know, you start to see a little bit, maybe Rick Glenn tries to do a level change, Dober backs out. You know, the first round starts to go by, but towards the end of the first round, I think you're going to start seeing Dober put that pressure on, and I think he's going to start landing big shots, get Glenn up against the cage, and he's going to slump him. And I think that's what's going to happen. Dober's getting the knockout end of the first round. That's where I'm at. Let me know where you're at in the comments below. And if you haven't done it, gosh darn it, like the video, guys. I need these likes. Let's get 100 of them on this video, shall we? If we can get 100, I will be so thankful. So stinking thankful. We'll see you guys in the next fight. I'm fun matchup here at welterweight. We have Alex Morono taking on Joaquin Buckley. For Morono, he's 4-1 in the last 5. That one loss was a loss in which he was winning the whole fight pretty much, and then just at the end gets caught by Ponzinibbio. It does happen. He did get caught. 3-2 in the last 5 for Buckley. He's fought a pretty good level of competition, but most of that up at middleweight. Now just down here at welterweight, recent move. That's where we're at. Let's break these guys down. So good striking on the Buckley side. He's got KO power. That's the thing. And Morono did get caught in that one loss he has in his last 5. So keep that in mind. Now, forward pressure from Buckley that makes that power a little bit scarier as he's backing guys up. He's going to work the body really well with his combinations, with his striking. And he has really good kicks that kind of deceptively sneak in there. You know, he's very athletic, so he can make those kicks work from whatever angle he needs to. In the wrestling department, he's got pretty good wrestling, and he can mix in the takedown, but he's definitely a striker first in most matchups. But he does have pretty good wrestling and will mix in the takedown when he needs it. Now, in this matchup here, I don't know that that's going to be what he does, because I do think that Morono has the advantage on the ground with his jiu-jitsu skills. He's got very good jiu-jitsu. He's very good at scrambling. And he's got very sneaky submissions. And I do think if Buckley shoots the takedown, Morono is going to be a little bit too much for him in the grappling. And I think he's going to struggle with that. So he's going to want to keep this on the feet. And I think Buckley's going to have the choice to keep it on the feet. And that's probably where he's going to try to keep it. Now, when it comes to Morono, he's a good striker as well, right? Doesn't have that one-shot power like Buckley does, but he does get good volume, puts together good combinations, and he can land the leg kick very well and then circle off. And he does a very good job of keeping himself moving forward, back, side to side, you know, staying out of range, staying out of what's the word? The danger zone. There we go. Staying out of the danger zone with that movement. He does a good job there, but he doesn't have like that one-shot knockout power like a guy like Buckley does. So both guys good in the similar areas, just for different things. For me, this is a really tough fight to pick, because I could definitely see Buckley getting the knockout here, getting that big heavy shot on Morono, but I can also see Morono winning a decision or even getting a submission if it does end up on the mat. So for that, I'm going to take Morono in the matchup. It's not my most confident pick on the card, but I picked a bunch of underdogs, and at least a couple of them got a hit, right? So we're going Alex Morono. I think he'll probably get a decision. I think he's going to be able to land some leg kicks, circle off, keep the volume going, and just do enough. But I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the submission as well. I will be surprised if he gets the knockout. But let me know where you're at. Let me know who you are picking in this matchup, and then I will see you. The middleweights up next. It is Joe Pyfer taking on Abdul Razak Alhassan. Alhassan is 2-3 in his last 5, 4-1 for Pyfer. Pyfer being younger at 27 years old. He's taking on the 35-year-old in Alhassan. This matchup is a couple of guys that look for knockouts in a lot of their fights. Alhassan being a good striker. He's got tons of power, and that head kick is just lights out. If he lands that nasty head kick of his, he's putting you down. You're dropping like a sack of potatoes. The problem is sometimes he is a bit low in the output department, especially as the fight goes on, because his cardio does fade after round 1. He does have good judo that he doesn't use a ton of, except for in the cage push. He'll push up against cage, use that a little bit to wear on his opponents, and then kind of set up those strikes as he exits the cage push. His takedown defense isn't his best though, because he oftentimes is looking to strike, and that is going to put him in a position where he can be taken down. For Pyfer, good striker as well. He's got a ton of forward pressure. He's going to use that pressure to get in close, start working the body, start slamming it in the pocket, and he does have very good power as well. He's best in the pocket, like I said. At range, that head kick from Alhassan is going to be very dangerous. In the pocket, it's going to be a lot harder to land that head kick, and that's where Pyfer is going to be better. So he needs to get in tight. He needs to keep it at range. That's how that's going to work. In the grappling department, Pyfer's pretty darn good. We didn't know this as much going in because we saw him knock some guys out, do what he had to do there. But he's been doing a lot in grappling competitions and looking very good as of late. He's got good top control as well, and his ground and pound is going to be a serious weapon for him in this matchup if he can get the fight to the mat. Now, smart game plan. Pyfer tries to take this fight to the mat, wear on Alhassan for a round. Even if he doesn't get the takedown, even if he just gets him up against the cage and can wear on him for a round, in the second and third round, he's going to have more success in the striking. Do I think he's going to do that? Absolutely not. I think these guys are going to come forward and they're going to exchange in the striking. So I do like somebody to get knocked out. If fight ends by knockout is on your card, it might be a good one. I do think Pyfer's going to get it done, but I'm not very confident for the simple fact that Alhassan has that nasty head kick and could drop Joe Pyfer, who's going to be coming in and trying to get in close, and in doing so can be caught. I'm picking Pyfer. I'm not confident in it whatsoever, but let me know who you have. I would love to hear from you guys. And folks, the main event of the evening, we're in the lightweight division. Bobby Green takes on Grant Dawson. Now, last reminder, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and go down to the lower part of this video. Hit that like button for me. You're going to want to do that. It's going to help the channel grow. It doesn't cost you anything. But if you're looking to invest just a little bit more, have you heard about channel memberships? It's only $2.99 a month. Now, that's not a lot. You're not going to get a ton of things for this, but you're going to really help the channel. And I know $2.99 doesn't sound like much, but when you get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of you together, getting those $2.99 channel memberships every month, what it does is it helps me get better equipment, produce better content, more content, and it just makes it overall better for everyone that's consuming this content. You guys would be taking one for the team by giving your $2.99. You've probably given $2.99 to a worse cause before, but either way, you've probably also given $2.99 to a better cause. Either way, $2.99 is the channel memberships. You're going to get these cool emojis you can put in the comments. I think there's like 4 of them. As we get more, I get access to more of them. Also, you're going to get access to this badge. Now, this is the cool part. These badges that go next to your name in the comments that say how long you've been supporting the channel. I got to pick the badges myself. I think it's super neat. Either way, it lets everybody know how long you've been supporting the channel, and that's super cool to me. And I think that's super cool for those down there in the comments. Say, oh, that guy is a fan, or that gal is super, super keen on this channel. Either way, channel memberships, like I said, if we get 10, 15, 20 of those, that can really go a long way for new equipment, better microphones, better cameras, better whatever, better studio, whatever it may be, more markers, you know the drill. But let's break down this fight. I understand you guys are probably tired of hearing that. If you haven't done so, just click that join button, and it's going to help the channel a lot. Now, Bobby Green, 2-2-1, no contest in his last 5 fights. That no contest came when he headbutted Jared Gordon. He was very upset after that in the interview because he thought he got the win. He's like, I want my win money, whatever. Either way, Bobby Green, 2-2-1 in his last 5. Now, 4-0-1 for Grant Dawson. That one extra is there as a draw to Rick Glenn, who fought earlier on this, or is fighting earlier on this card. He hasn't fought yet. I'm recording this before the fights, obviously. So 4-0-1. He did not look good in that fight because, well, he looked great in the first 2 rounds. But that third round, dead. Absolute death gas to the level that I have not seen in a long time. It was brutal. But he was able to hang on because he's a very tough guy. He just didn't have any cardio. He was able to hang on and just get 10-8'd. Probably could have been a 10-7, to be honest. He couldn't even stand up after the end of the fight. But either way, he got it to a draw, and that's where we got. So Grant Dawson made it through, did not get another loss on his record, but that's where we're at, 4-0-1. He's looked much better with the cardio since then, so it's not a big red flag now, but at that time it was. Now, let's break this down. Bobby Green. He came into his MMA career with a wrestling background. He did really good using that wrestling to get wins early in his career, but he's since become more of a boxer, right? He's got very slick boxing, good head movement, uses that shoulder roll well to block punches, slip punches, roll with the punches, things like that. So he doesn't really take a ton of damage when he is getting hit, and he oftentimes does not get hit, or at least not clean, and he's able to get out of the way of shots. He's got good volume, and he has punches from weird angles. He'll come from down low because he's down here like this, moving his head, right? I'm not very good at doing a Bobby Green impression, so just bear with me. But he's throwing these combinations from down here, boom, boom, hitting the 1-2 from low, hitting that hook, whatever he's got to do, throwing those 3, 4, 5 punch combinations while moving his head, while, staying loose on top and just landing shots. Doesn't really have one-shot power by any means, but he definitely has the volume, and he definitely is good at staying out of the way of punches and landing those combinations. Now, the wrestling, like I said, that's what got him to the dance. He's gotten away from it because, well, he's doing good in the boxing, but his wrestling, he does have an excellent sprawl. In fact, his sprawl is very quick, does a good job with it, and he can scramble if he needs to in that wrestling department. Now, he's probably not going to be mixing in his own takedowns. I would be very surprised if he did in this matchup particularly, but either way, defensively, he's very sound there. So I think Grant Dawson's going to have to work to get the takedowns if he wants them, because he's a very solid wrestler. Grant Dawson is going to shoot a ton of takedowns. The volume is there in the takedown department, takedown after takedown. Even if he doesn't get them, he's chaining these takedowns together, and he does a very good job with that. He doesn't have the best takedown ratio, I guess, but like I said, the volume of takedowns, once he does get it to the mat, the dude's got excellent top control. Once he gets you down, you're stuck. And if he takes your back, you're definitely stuck. Double stuck. It's like quicksand down there. He gets to the back, and you are not getting him off your back. He's going to start looking for rear naked chokes. If he doesn't get it, well, guess what? He's going to sit there the whole round, and you are not getting out. So if he has to scramble, if he's in a position where, say, Bobby Green's breaking free, trying to get out, if he has to scramble, he's got very good scrambles in his own right. Now, for Dawson, though, in those scrambles, he's often taking the back with that. So that is another method for him to get to the back rather than just moving his way through and taking it. Either way, if he gets on your back, it's over from there. At least a round. Now, with the striking, he's shown a lot of improvement since he moved to Florida, but it's still definitely not his best asset, right? He's very durable and he can take a punch, but when he goes to give those shots, he's just not as clean as you'd like to see for a well-rounded top guy in the UFC, right? He's ranked number 10. You'd like to see a little bit more of a developed striking game, but one thing he does have that I do like in this match in particular is the leg kick. And why do I like that? Bobby Green's a boxer. What do boxers do? They stay heavy on their front leg a lot, especially a guy like Bobby Green who's doing a lot of head movement, moving, things like that. He's going to be heavy on the lead leg at times, and if Dawson can land a couple of big leg kicks, that's going to slow down the movement of Bobby Green, which is going to make it harder for him to stuff takedowns because it's going to be harder for him to be able to push off, get those hips back, and start using those sprawls that he does very well. So I do believe that if Dawson is able to land a couple of big, heavy leg kicks early on, even if he has to eat a few shots to do it, that is going to pay off very well for him in the matchup. Because, like I said, if he slows the movement of Bobby Green, it's going to make it easier to get the takedowns. Now, the cardio is the issue. I do think in round 5, Bobby Green is going to be the fresher fighter if we get that far. But I do think that Grant Dawson showed in his last matchup where he absolutely dominated Demirez Muglulov. If you remember that from my breakdown, I was on the Grant Dawson side, and I told you guys it was easy money, which is what he made it look like. I think he's going to be able to do something similar here for most of this fight. He's going to be able to get Bobby Green down. And I think the first round is going to be tricky. Bobby Green's going to be fresh, elusive, moving, doing what he needs to do. Maybe he gets a late takedown and does Dawson, but I do think Bobby Green's going to be good in the first round. Second and third round, Dawson's getting those takedowns. And if he does not get the submission, probably a rear naked choke. If he does not get that, he's definitely racking up the control time in those rounds. The fourth round, probably going to go to Dawson, but who knows? That's where it gets tricky. Fifth round probably goes Green. I think it's going to be a nice green and, green sandwich there. You get the Green on the first round and the fifth round. I think everything in between is going to be Dawson if it gets that far, but I do think Dawson's going to be able to get the rear naked choke at some point in this matchup. So I'm taking Grant Dawson here. Let me know who you have, though, in the comments below. I appreciate you all for tuning in, and I will see you in the next one. Keep your eyes out for Bellator 300's breakdown as well. See you guys there.